Gaming NBS, episode 179, coming to you Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. Welcome to Gaming NBS, Tabletop RPG Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, folks. Good to have you all on board. I see Tucker has found the cat's water dish behind you there, Sean.
He has.
Tucker is Sean's dog. He just wandered away as soon as Sean turned around. That was funny. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic.
That's good. That's very good. So you're still going to GaryCon, right?
I am.
Awesome. So GaryCon is one of the Wisconsin conventions that Sean and I have been going to. So we're looking at, March 8th. So damn, but that is coming up fast. So March 8th. Link in the show notes, GaryCon.com, in case you haven't seen that yet. I know some friends of ours, friends of the show, we're going to be there. I think Otto will be there. David Beatty will be there. Hobbs will be there. Shite. I mean, tons of people are going to be there. Forrest, all sorts of folks. So if you get a chance to come down, that would be great. I know Brinkmans are always there, so it's always fun to see Jen and Bob. Lots of cool people. So come on down. I think Chris Steele's even going to make it up again. He was there last year, so hopefully he'll show up and we can cause some shenanigans as we did last year too. So that should be a good time. Hopefully we will see more folks there. If you see Sean or I, stop us, say hi, all that good stuff. So, Sean, anything new? Anything? What's going on? Is a dog found the cat food?
So my dog doesn't come down into the basement. And sometimes when he's left upstairs to his own demise, and my wife's not there, he'll just bark for some reason. He's not a big barking dog, so I think he just thinks she's there. He gets excited and barks. So I'm like, I'll bring him down into the basement. I literally have to carry this 50-pound freaking beagle hound down into the basement. And now he's down here, and he doesn't usually come down here. So now, and I got cat stuff everywhere. So some cat bowl food everywhere, and he's just, whoa, look at this, leftovers, blah, 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 blah.
This is the best room in the whole house.
And since he's never down here, I didn't think about I better probably put those away or put that away and throw that away. So now he's going freaking bonkers. I brought him down here so he didn't distract me, and now he's distracting me.
That's all right. I'll tell you what, let's get in a random encounter. I'll read the first one, and you can tune me out for a bit. All right, so
random encounter.
All right, Crimfan jumping down. We'll just stomp on each other all night. So Crimfan steps in on episode 177. The adversarial situation you described with your friend John is fine. I'm not sure I'd want to play that too much, but he's transparent and open about the game, so you know what you're getting. Lots of old school adventures did have that kind of save or die traps and critters, just as you say. Tournament scoring was done by getting as far into the dungeon as you could, hence the prolific death traps. Problematic adversarial behavior is a different story. Excuse me. I do think some games may end up becoming adversarial due to various things. Personality clashes, rules lawyers are hardcore power gamers, railroad GMs, often frustrated auteurs, players failing to engage with the story, GMs who are very poor at explanations or description, GM burnout being common ones. Essentially, these are all things that create excessive frustration. Inexperienced GMs can end up this way a lot, I suspect, due often to the fact that the players frequently outsmart the GM, which gets really frustrating. The GM is outnumbered, after all, but it can happen even with experienced GMs. I've noted times when I've gotten myself in a rut with portrayals of certain kinds of NPCs or felt like the players got one over on me, especially if I'm tired. One guy I used to play with, he can be both really good and really bad as a GM, often got frustrated because his monsters would get locked down by tactically savvy players. This happened a ton in 4E because they were really clever combos that smart players could exploit due to the ton of status effects. The examples you guys put of the DM not providing enough information and killing the PCs is a good one. Props for mentioning Mordenkainen's fantastic adventure. And by the way, White Plume Mountain was written as a joke. Evidently, the author never thought it would get published. You know, Crimfan, I have heard that before. If you or anybody else could point me to a source on that, excuse me, I'd be really interested. There's some of those semi-apocryphal things I've heard about the older edition, you know, and the origins and so on. Some are kind of lost to the mists of time in a way, but this one I've heard before, the White Plume Mountain being written as a joke. I'd be interested to see where that started at. But thank you, Crim Fan. Good stuff, man.
Who wrote it? I don't know who wrote it.
White Plume. I will look it up while you read the next one.
Sky Slayton. Sky Slayton.
I don't know why you did that to him. This guy's a nice person. Keep going.
Brett B. I'm not at all putting you down, though in thinking about my analogy, I would change it. So old school style plays like Earth Angel. Classic, but less complex in a good way. Newer games are like Marty's Johnny Be Good. New and hip, but if you take it too far, obnoxious. And you two are Marvin Berry saying, Chuck, it's Marvin, your cousin, Marvin Berry. You know that's new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. So,
I like that.
there's a whole lot of referencing going on in there. So, kids, it's referencing a little Back to the Future.
Yes, go watch Back to the Future Part 1 and absorb its lessons and move on.
That's right. The point is that the style of game you want to play is like Sean P. Kelly answer. It depends. On what kind of game you want to play. It's Valentine's Day. If my wife came home and I fired up Johnny Be Good, she would look at me like WTF. But if I said, Alexa, play Earth Angel, and then we slow dance, she might think I'm a lovable fool, and the result would be much better. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, Bob's your uncle, and all that.
Nice guy. Oh, and it was Lauren Schick was the author of White Blue Mountain.
Lauren Schick.
Yes.
For everybody that
Schick.
So everybody that yelled Lauren Schick, you get 10 points.
Yes.
10 experience points. Congratulations.
Apparently Lawrence wrote it as a joke. Interesting. Anyway, Thank you, Sky. I really didn't take you serious that you were giving me shit. It was just fun to do, and I do feel better that you weren't totally bagging on me. It is the year of the Kelly, after all, though, so I'm going to have to put up with such slings and arrows. It's going to happen. It's going to happen all year.
Hey, hang in there, man.
I'll try.
I'll carry you along, man. Even though it's my year, you're welcome to come along, Brett.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's about your turn, so. Anyway.
Yeesh.
All right, Gaming Ronin came back at us. Immersion can be different for different people. I don't mean the definition. I mean for some people it's getting into character, and for other people it's immersion into the abilities of the character. Some others get immersed into systems. That's why things people claim break immersion can vary so greatly. Breaking immersion often really means distraction, and immersion is focus. Anything that breaks your attention on the part of your focusing is breaking your immersion. You know, Ronan, that's actually a good point. The deep mental, focus and so on. I think that statement, distraction versus focus, something that takes you out of whatever you like, be it a distraction because Sean's dog is hanging out behind him, or the cat's jumping up on the table, knocking the dice over, or whatever. That type of thing can take you out, and you can lose your focus. So, that makes sense. That's a good definition, Ronan. Thanks, man. Over to you, sir.
Pure mongrel. Sound of blowing dust off a long unused object. Pff, pff. Sound of object scraping as it is pushed along the ground. Sound of climbing onto object.
Oh, my knee. There's my hip.
In regards to episode 178, Immersion in Our Games. Struth, fellas. What about the bloody players doing their bit for immersion?
Oh, talk about Year of the Kelly.
That was an exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. I didn't really get into that.
Didn't really feel like screaming it into my ears. Thank you.
I should have put it in caps. It's not enough for us poor GMs having to know all the rules, create the worlds, populate the countrysides, motivate the gods, rally the forces of evil, and stock the dungeons. Now we are also totally responsible for having the players feel the world they explore. Bah, I say bah. What about getting those pampered players to help us with immersion? It's bad enough that they rarely read beyond the title of the player's handbook, let alone knowing what their own characters can do. Role play your characters, use stretchers of GM sanity, know what your character is capable of. Be ready to do your action when it is your turn. Nothing breaks immersion more than the GM also having to hold the hands of the players as well as present the game world and its inhabitants. Enough, I say. Down with player apathy and letting the GM do all the heavy lifting. Grumbling intermixed with the sound of an angry GM climbing down from his soapbox. Ray gun. Cough. Sorry about that. I can get a bit fired up. Being serious now. Oh, I wasn't serious before.
I liked it before. I don't know what this will get us, so keep going.
I don't know it. In my work, in-game immersion can be a tricky thing. Many of the young adults I GM for live with trauma, which can be exacerbated by descriptions that are too intense, graphic, or realistic. Sometimes even the most ambiguous thing can set a player off. I have heard you lads mention many times the need to be clear with, and get clearance from, your players regarding the manner in which the game will be played and the subject material that will be presented. This is awesome advice, and it should be considered by every GM. You just never know what might trigger a negative response for a player. So even though the players within my groups may pick any genre to play, in fact, one of my groups picked and is now playing East Texas University at the moment, I must be constantly conscious of how I present horror elements of the discovery of victims and crime scenes. One of the ways I like to do it where possible is describe the effect the scene is having on NPCs in the vicinity or the surrounding area and not actually describe the source of the horror or violence. For instance, the first on-scene police officer is throwing up in the gutter while a small trace of blood has seeped through the sheet covering the murder victim. The cold shadows cover most of the creature as it snarls, ready to pounce, its eyes glowing as red as the blood has spilled while performing its dark ritual. I don't need to describe actual wounds, broken bodies, or graphic horror. I could set the tone without the gore or violence. That being said, even this would be too much for some of my players, so they are offered other games to join and enjoy. Immersion is fantastic. To this day, I still talk about the Call of Cthulhu game my mate Dave ran that scared the shit out of me 25 years ago. The fact that we were playing during a cyclone and the wind killed the power helped. But as GMs, we have a responsibility to the players at our table. Everyone at our tables must be fully aware of the tone and theme of the game they are about to invest themselves in. Once again, excellent podcast. I look forward to the next one. Warmest regards, Mongrel.
Thanks, man. We do have up next, excuse me, we're talking about adversarial players to come from that angle. And a little bit of it comes into what you kind of jokingly / seriously he brought up at the beginning. But I think you're right. There's a number of different ways that even if you're playing with people who are like, oh, no, I can handle the graphics. I can handle the this, that, or the other thing. Not everybody needs or wants it. And sometimes even for just the simplicity or expeditiousness of a scene, you can use some of the descriptive tactics that you mentioned, Mongrel, and get the same darn thing across. Sometimes, if nothing else, doing something of, having the cop puking in the gutter with a little bit of blood, oh, wow, must be pretty drastic. Let the player dream it up in their head. It's a much quicker way for me to describe something horrible than actually trying to sit down and come up with all the right language and verbs and other things to describe what's going on. So I think that's some pretty good advice. Thanks, man. All right. Christopher Jeffers emailed us, and he said, I had a question for you guys and wasn't sure if you've made an episode on it or not. If so, I'd love to know which episode. I've been starting at 1 and going forward. Good man, Christopher.
Hey.
Anyway, I was wondering about the legality of homebrews outside of D&D and Pathfinder, as these are with a guild or whatnot, in particular regarding Star Wars. I was hoping you guys knew if anyone can legally post a homebrew without setting it, if it involves an IP. Cheers, can't wait to hear this week's show when I finally catch up. We've not done a show on that, man.
If it involves an IP, I guess it depends on whose IP is. If it's your IP, well, then I think you relinquish quite a bit of it when you put it up in the DM's Guild, but I could be way wrong.
Well, like he's talking about in particular Star Wars. If you just say, hey, I found something really cool, the last thing you'd want to do is go make the mouse angry at you, because then the mouse will come down from the castle on the mountain and eat you, because that's what the mouse does. I think without selling it, there's some weird ass lines there. I'd have to get Alex to then point me to somebody who really knows, because even within legal circles, there's people who specialize in that type of thing and be like, hey, Alex, do you know a guy I could ask this question to? And then even then, it could get pretty sketchy.
No.
I would say just don't do it.
Hell no, dude. You're going to get so sued into oblivion. Like, you're going to get the big cease and desist.
But then again, if you don't get a cease and desist, you ain't trying hard enough.
But do you want one? So that's where it's.
You can post them on your wall and show how fucking cool you are.
I don't think they can. I don't think they have to start there. I think they can just be like, "Hi, we're going to sue you for the shit that you're selling. You can't sell other people's
He's talking about
IP."
not selling it, though.
Oh, you can't put it in the guild then.
Yeah, but I think
there's guys that are putting like the second edition revised and updated RUPD, revised, updated, whatever the Star Wars one, but it's free. They don't charge for it, so
I think it's wonky. It's really tricky. It used to be my general thought was always, well, if I'm not charging for it, who fucking cares? Just put it out and anybody can grab whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually a thing. It's goofy.
We're not lawyers, man.
I'm not, and I really, oh Christ.
The copyright law in the U.S. is even
it's
crazier.
Weird.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Crazier than many other countries.
So I tell you what, Christopher, I would hesitate to do too much if I had something that I like to play and said, hey, I've got a homebrew thing I'd like to run for you. And you said, sure, I'll run it on Roll20 or something. It's just a thing you did or you played it at your house and so on. You can't stop me from using D&D D20 rules to run a Star Wars game in my own home, type of thing. But posting it up for others to consume, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there wiser than us will have better statements. But right now, Sean and I are just hedging, because I just don't know, man. It's an
ongoing topic. You post somewhere and it gets all kooky, and a lot of armchair lawyers and attorneys get involved, and some of them know what they're talking about and some may think they are. We are the latter. But I would say if it involves money and IP and it's not yours, you're in a lot of trouble if you do that. Don't do that. So don't charge. And then if you do it as a fan piece, then I don't know. It's when it comes down to distribution and credits and all that other crap. Like there's a guy who does. He's doing Stun Dungeon World, but it's Star Wars World. And I think he's got a little. I mean, I'd love to get it, but he puts it out for free and then if he wants to put it out and sell it, then he has to change all the IP. He has to be like, it's something else, like Stars Without Number or White Star.
Dunno. Yuck.
I think that's how James did White Star, right?
I think so.
I think he was a big fan of Star Wars, and he made his own game, but he couldn't call it Star Wars.
Yeah.
You can't call the classes in it Jedi. You gotta call it something else. Can't call them lightsabers. Got to call them
Space Samurai.
Laser swords or some shit.
Light katanas.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would, yeah. But if it's your own shit, go nuts.
Absolutely.
All right. There we go. I hope we were a big help on that.
That was probably terrible, Christopher. Sorry about that. Sean, next one's for you.
You got to get that disclaimer out there. We are not lawyers, nor do we represent them. We may role play them on occasion, but even then, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. Greetings, just like an elf and a sword. I've never swung a sword, and I've never been an elf. I haven't been a lawyer, though I've played one.
Poorly.
On TV. Greetings, gentlemen. I decided to start listening to your show shortly after I was a guest with Brett on the Hobbs and Friends podcast. I've been cherry-picking episodes that have topics that spark my interest ever since.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
One episode that I especially enjoyed was episode 87 on GM screens. I used to use screens for every game I could. Like you guys mentioned, I would buy the screen for every game I purchased. I've also made my own screens for 2nd edition AD&D as well as Dungeon Crawl Classics. However, in the past year or so, I have moved away from screens. This is in large part due to seeing other GMs at cons running screenless. Whoa. Wow. Screenless. It is also because my main game to run is DCC RPG, and they have a great reference book available on Lulu that I use instead of a screen. I think I know that reference book. It's a pretty good one.
Yes, it is.
I I still cover my notes with something, but I now make all my die rolls in the open. I have found that some games still lend themselves to using screens as reference charts, especially when I run Fantasy Flight Star Wars. That's my 2 cents on GM screens. I'll keep listening in the back catalog and keep up the great work. Thanks, DM Kojo.
Thanks, Kojo. That was cool being on a show with you back in the old Hobbs and Friends. That was fun.
I listened to that one, even with Brett on there.
It's still, I didn't drag the quality down or anything. I did okay.
No, I was like, hey, look at that. I'm listening to DM Kojo. Oh, and Brett happens to be on there.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I have found that as of late when I have DM screens, I tend to use them because I stand up when I Game Master, so 9 times out of 10 I can't read the fucking screen anyway because of the angle it's at. So I'll use it to kind of claim my space on the table where I can roll my dice and just keep my notes. Because otherwise, when you've got 5 or 6 people at a small table or whatever, all the stuff kind of just moves around. It becomes difficult to this is my space. Fuck off out of here. I need somewhere to put my stuff.
You're like Dwight Schrute that puts pencils between the desks all the way around the desk.
Pencils between the desks. I have no idea what that is.
Dwight Schrute on The Office, man.
No, I never saw The Office.
Oh, my God. Hey, anybody that's watching or listening to this knows what I'm talking about. Dwight Schrute. He's got 2 desks together. In the crack, he puts pencils up through between them. Actually, I think Jim might do that to piss him off. And then some Dwight or Jim hammers him down like freaking
nails.
Nails, yeah.
Anyway, I found that I tend to lay, if I've got a really good DM screen, I was running Warhammer this last weekend, and I've got a number of the hit charts printed out, and what I do is I lay them flat in front of me so I can reference them that way while I'm standing. I can just look down and read at them, so it's much easier for me to go that way. Cool.
I find nowadays they make them out of really hard substances. Like if you take a 1985 GM screen,
well, that was more like I always said cereal box cardboard. If you get a cereal box, that was the quality of the cardboard. And nowadays they are thick enough you could kill a person with them.
I don't know, man. Duty. I think some of the old ones, like AD&D First Edition, was like that. It was like
well, those aren't bad.
Cardboard paper.
Yeah, I've got some of those.
Yeah, that won't protect you from flying dice from players.
Correct.
And you can't hit them worth the shit because it doesn't do any damage. It's like a 1d4 minus 3.
Yeah, I mean, if you slap a player with one of those, it doesn't do much. You got to get one of the more modern, heavier ones. Yeah.
Yeah, man, get a 5-panel freaking 20-gauge freaking thick cardboard, man. You freaking wallop on a freaking player, man. Hey, it's your turn, buddy. They're gonna know it.
Hey, what? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying. Wing! Attention! There you go.
Hey, metal ones are just around the corner. Just saying. Just saying.
Some sort of
Kickstarter.
Aluminum player whacking Kickstarter. Yeah,
if I find out how much an aluminum DM screen costs to make, and I put out a Kickstarter, I bet you I could sell shit tons of them.
Probably good.
Because when we pimp it on the show, man, we'd be like, get the official gaming
yes.
Shielded DM screen.
Yes.
Can also be used as a weapon.
Works as Faraday shield, weapon.
Yeah. See, there's a few
stops
people.
Stops a 20 caliber round at short range, all that stuff.
Hey, Bonnie Cook's got Invisible Sun. Shit, man, I got an aluminum DM screen, bro.
Nice. All right.
$20 million kickstarted. Watch. Every player, highest level.
Yeah, I'll go to one of those crazy-ass ballistic stores online and get some body armor and make character sheets out of them, or GM screens out of them. That's what I need.
Can't be aluminum. That shit just dents and freaking folds over like... Hey, UK folks, that's aluminum.
Aluminium.
Aluminium, yes we're
aluminium.
talking about. Aluminium.
Correct. All right, let's move on.
God, man, seriously. Brett.
You ready, Sean?
What are we talking about this week?
We get some energy up. Where the mongrel hit us a while back. He said, hey, let's hope you guys could explore and expand about how to improve in-game energy.
Oh, it's easy. Just do a freaking line of cocaine right before you run.
All right, damn.
We do not
endorse or condone
the use of drugs or alcohol.
No, we don't. Sorry,
but that is one way. That is one way to get energy.
Totally, yeah. Wow. Are these dice straight? How about this? Is this straight? Was that straight? I flipped the table. What the hell just happened? What's wrong with Blazinski? I have no idea. Just let him go. He'll come back later.
Woo! What is that guy's problem?
So I think some of this is we're going to end up touching a little bit on GM burnout, right? Because when you talk about, oh my God, I just don't feel like it today, or just don't seem to have the energy. Burnout, I think, plays a little bit, but I think there's some more here as well. So, Sean, let's talk about players first. Let's beat on players for a bit here. So we talk about energy at the table, right? And to me, energy at the table is not only just focus and so on, but it's like being active, paying attention, wanting to be there, and so forth. So, Sean, when you come to the game, you want to bring your best. Do you make sure you've loaded up the latest version of Yahtzee on your phone so you can play that when it's not your turn or something? Or how do you?
Candy Crush, my
Candy
friend.
Crush. How do you, Sean? How do you make sure you're bringing your best to the game table? That's when you're the player. When you show up at my table, how do I know you're bringing your best? What are you doing?
I go into the from like last time, like Brett was talking about, man. I get in the locker room,
get in the zone.
I get in the zone. I slap myself on the shoulders a couple times. Maybe head butt myself against the wall.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, man. Gotta get myself in the game. Gotta get into character. Ready for this? Are you ready for this?
One of the things I have known that some of my players will do is something a little less crazy. They keep notes and reference their notes before the game. Just getting in the game, getting their headspace ready, where they come back and say, hey, what happened last time? I'll ask, or someone else will ask, and they will say, well, allow me to eliminate you, you poor schlub who takes no notes. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. The other thing that goes with that is what I try to do, and what I've seen my players do a lot, and I'm copying this when I am playing, is, oh my God, that's right, last time's when this thing happened. And they're dredging up the memory, not dredging, but they're remembering that really cool thing that happened, whether it was a cool magic item that was found. Oftentimes it was like a hilarious combat or just a funny NPC encounter, or even sometimes a really serious thing. Yeah, we almost got our asses kicked, man. The Kuo-toa, whoo, wow. Guess we can't swim. My God, that was tough. Yeah, I remember that. And just having that back and forth just before we say, okay, let's go and start the actual game. It's kind of the almost game equivalent of sitting around the locker room talking about how you're going to kick the monster's ass type of thing, but remembering what happened last time, remembering the fun parts, even the tricky or dangerous or almost deadly stuff, gets what I see it does to my players anyway. And when I am a player, is it gets me in that brain space from like, yeah, I'm here to play a game, and that was fun. I had a lot of fun. I want that fun to continue. Let's go. So that helps from where I sit oftentimes to see really some decent energy coming to the table. Do you experience anything like that, Sean, or is this just foreign to you?
Yeah, I think. No, it's not foreign to me, Brett.
Just
I do
checking.
think. Huh?
Just checking. Want to make sure.
Okay.
Want to make sure you're with me.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Good.
I think it is. It is a state of mind, and I think you got to get into it. And sometimes it's hard, and it's not hard because it's it's something you can't do, or maybe you're unwilling to do. But I think just some people, man, you had a shitty day at work, and you're gonna go to game, and hopefully you can snap out of like the funk when you hit the gaming table. Like sometimes I come into this podcast, Brett, and if you can believe it or not, sometimes I'm like kind of in a funk.
No, I get it. No, absolutely.
But then I get on the mic and I'm like, funk goes bye-bye.
I like this, man. This is fun again.
This is all right. It's the same thing with gaming. I believe that. Like if you're at the table.
I think you're right.
Now, you said there's some things that you can do to get into that, and I think maybe looking over old notes or leveling your tune.
That's a very good point. We will get, excuse me, we'll get, hey, everybody's going to level up. Hey, I got enough experience, I'm going to level up. I purposely don't do that until the start of the game. Now we get to the game early, and we sit down, like, hey, we leveled up, right? Yeah, everybody's level 5. Now, great, I got to do some quick leveling up. Now, granted, we're running 5e. It's pretty lickety-split to level up a character. And it's not like higher levels of Pathfinder or some of the games that have a lot of crunch behind behind that. But even then, you can, if you know what you're doing, you can level that shit up pretty quick. But that gets me into the character. Oh, yeah, that's right, because I'm staring at my character sheet. I have a +1 this magic item. I've got this. Oh, shit, I'm almost out of arrows. Oh, yeah, that's right. Where are all these check marks over here? Christ, I'm down to half my hit points. Oh, my God, I remember that. It forces me to take a look at that character sheet and remember why my character sheet is in the current condition it's in. Is it newly unwrinkled because I wadded up and beamed it off my Game Master's head last time? Or is it, is it just full of scratch marks over by the current health point tracker because it was just a hell of a fight? So, just leveling up at the beginning of the game session or just that part just before is something I like to do that gets me refocused on the game itself.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a big one. I don't think we do that. I mean, we can, but I think in many of the groups that I am accustomed to playing in, you're usually doing that before you show up because then everybody wants to play. But I think it's a good tactic to get in the game and be excited about it. Like, yeah, man, I'm going to take another feat. Oh, I got another skill.
That's right.
Booyah.
Especially when you level up and you see that character go from +1 to +3, you're like, boom! All that time and energy spent, no new spell time, kids. That's just fun.
That's right.
The other thing that I have found, as goofy as it is I make sure I show up with snacks and just fun stuff to share. You sit down at the table and you throw out the 2 bags of Doritos and somebody else has Funyuns. I'm like, fuck you. Oh, dude, I forgot Funyuns. I love Funyuns. It's just like, it's like crack for me. Give me a bag of Funyuns, I'll eat the whole damn thing.
You're a Funyuns guy?
They're terrible. I don't know why I like them, but I'll eat them all.
I don't know, man. I would have taken you for a beef jerky, dude.
Oh, that too, yeah. Beef jerky and Funyuns and beer all night long. Which means you probably don't want to be anywhere downwind of my breath at that point because it's not pleasant. But something like my friends will bring like cookies and just stuff to have. Or, hey, what are we doing for dinner tonight? Hey, I got this covered. Hey, we're going to get pizza or whatever. Even just talking about, as corny as it is, maybe this means we're just getting old, but talking about the food and what we're going to have, and hey, I brought some soda, you need some of this, oh, I got this cool beer I wanted to try, or if you're not into drinking beer, like, hey, we got fresh coffee, or hey, I bought coffee for people. I'm bringing stuff to the table that's about gaming together, and snacks and chips and dip and all that stuff is all part and parcel oftentimes with the game itself, or at least it has been for me historically. And when you're sitting there with your buddies and the guys and girls are sitting down and someone goes, yeah, here's some pretzels. Hey, I got this. You showed up with a thing to share. And I'm trying not to make too big a deal out of it, but it's a social event. And when you do that, it's cool. You bring stuff to pass around and you're there to be part of the event and you came ready. You didn't sit down hoping somebody else brought stuff. You didn't sit down and didn't bother to even think about the fact that you're going to be playing for 4 hours right over supper time. You figured out what you're already going to do for dinner. You figured all this stuff out. That's, again, is being prepared, showing up and getting ready to roll in some way.
Ready to roll. Literally.
Absolutely. Hey.
Roll some dice. Hey-o.
Now, there's a thing you said there about, like, this is kind of the burnout piece, and like I said, we're going to touch on it. But I think, and we say this all the time, but communicating around, hey, Sean, how's it going? I had a fucked up day at work, Brett. Really, Sean? Yes, it sucked. Everything that could go wrong today went wrong. You know what? Can we kill some stuff so I can get some experience points, man? It's a joke or a sideline or whatever, but sometimes people, if you sit down and you've had a really super crappy day, hopefully you're playing with people who care about you enough to say, oh, man, that sucks. Oh, God, I had a bad day, too. Well, at least we're here to game. Let's have some fun and support each other through that. But sometimes just saying those things out loud so everybody understands what space you're in. You don't need to necessarily get into a deep dissertation on why you're feeling bummed out. At one point, ages back when I was getting divorced, I would show up to a game and I'd be like, I'm not feeling all that into it. Friends like, you okay? I'm like, it's just, it's tough, man. Just trying to get things sorted out and lawyers and crap. And the guys all knew I was getting divorced. Like, yeah, oof, that sucks. You good to game? Yeah, let's do something to take my mind off it. But everybody understood at that moment, it was a pretty damn big deal,
Could just see your player character. All right, Brett, you're...
Kill him! Kill it! Murder it! Murder it dead!
The love of your life has written you a letter.
Oh, that's great. That's what you do.
Dear Brett.
That's what you do to me.
That's Dick GM there.
Yeah.
That's a
that conversation ends in a gunshot.
Oh, man, would that be hilarious? I got a player going through divorce. Got to set up his player character to have a fallout.
Yeah, with his loved one. That'll be fun. Oh, look.
He, hoo.
Hey, guess what? Your husband's been cheating on you. Just found out in character, too. Isn't that funny? Wait. That's when she stabbed me, Your Honor. Case dismissed. Moving on.
The fact that I even brought that up tells you what kind of an asshole I could be.
So the other thing that I have found is that you play the game, whatever, and we've talked. This is also a piece of the burnout stuff. Is sometimes as a player, you take a look at if you're like, man, I don't feel like being there. It's okay to ask yourself the question like, should I not be there? Right? Like, look, my kids are really sick. My wife just got sick. Work is hell for the last 2 weeks. It's game night. No, I can't game tonight. That's fine, right? I think it's totally fine to say, look, I can't make it tonight, guys. I'm really sorry, but I can't make it.
It's not fine, Brett. Suck it up, buddy.
Suck it up.
Suck it up, man. Hey, if I were a clown, I'd turn that frown upside down.
I hate clowns.
Me too. Flip, I love you, but I haven't seen your clown makeup. Maybe you're really nice. Maybe a nice looking clown. But I don't know. I think I was traumatized when I was a kid by a clown.
But another
Flip Flory I'm referring to. Flip's a clown. He plays a clown.
The other
he does.
I know, and I'm just trying to forget that. Anyway, so the other piece is it doesn't hurt to ask yourself, are you playing a game you want to be playing? Sometimes it's, hey, I have really had it with Dungeon World. Could we please play a sci-fi game? I've had it with the sci-fi game. Could we please play some Cthulhu?
Oh, man. Then you become an asshole player because I don't have that shit prepped as a game master.
So what you need to do is
have them run it.
Is,
all right,
is say, hey, you know what? I'd be willing to run. I got an idea for a one-shot. Could I do that at some point? And maybe even not that night. The rest of the team would be like, yeah, but we're outside the shrine of the Kuatoa, man. I don't want to not fight that. How about next time? All right, cool. But if you want to do something like that as a player, give it a shot, step up and do something like that. Feel free to bring it up. Don't hide that and squash it down. Bring it out. But I think because as a player, it's such a communal activity. For me, bringing some of the energy in and what I'm seeing about my players and other people sitting down, even at GameHoCon this last time, talking to the players who I didn't know. I mean, I knew Hobbs and I knew VC sitting at the table in front of me, but I did not know most of the other people sitting there. I'm like, okay, interesting. How am I going to make sure everybody gets along and so on? And, hey, Hobbs looks to the guy next to him. What's your character's name? What's he look like? VC's like, yeah, I'm this. Hey, what are you doing? Engaging with each other. Hey, what's that up with your character? Did you level up just like we were supposed to? Yeah, hey, what spell did you just take? Asking the magic user. Hey, do you have enough rounds for that, for your gun? Do you have enough ammo? Do you have enough food? Do we have enough this? Talking to each other and helping to spread that engagement around the table, to me, brings the energy up. Because now everybody's thinking about that character sheet and what just happened, and they want to get going. So I think that's some of the stuff that I've seen work, and I've tried to do myself as a player. I think it works pretty well. Got any other tips, Sean, or ideas? That's a no.
No, I think those are all good. I mean, I don't want to rehash the same ones. I think those are always legit. Maybe if you got a journal, read the journal, read the notes that people post up on forums or whatever. If there's a blog going or some of those details, if you really want to get your head back into the game. Get in the game, man.
So if you take it back,
Rambo,
come on, get in there.
Come on, Johnny.
Get in the game, get in the goddamn game. So as a game master, I think some of it's very similar in that I've had guys I've gamed with in the past as game masters, and I've actually had people say this to my face, that they never bring anything to share at the table because they're running the game and the players owe it to them to supply them with food and drinks.
Well, yeah, I do say that, Brett.
Well, I didn't want to call you out right there in front of everybody, Sean, but yeah. So, well, as a
hey, I don't run this shit for free. I don't get any money out of it. And sometimes I don't even get rewarded otherwise.
Exactly. Just a bunch of bastard players.
We need to stop bashing on players, man. It's probably, 50% of our BSers are players.
Well, I mean, you and I both play games, so I mean,
We do play.
and I tell you,
Well, see, so what he's saying, man, because I game master, I can bash player. I'm a player, so I can bash them.
I don't know.
Hey, man,
I guess I don't know. Anyway,
I could bash players because I am one.
but I think helping when good Lord, you reckon it. Oh, that's funny, Dick. Anyway, so one thing to do is make sure you're running the game you want to run. All the stuff we talked about. If you got burnout issues, you talk about that. The other thing I found is, in addition to doing very similar things like, hey, something as silly as, hey, my wife made cookies, I brought them to the game. Bringing snacks, getting people engaged that way. All those types of things still playing your part. The other thing I've found as a game master is sometimes you can take breaks in the game, right? You can be playing, it's got a 4-hour session, and somewhere in the middle of it, someone goes, oh my God, I've got to tell you this thing happened to me at work. This is so fucking hilarious. Hang on, we just got to take a break. I've had those. I'm sure just everybody else out there at some point is like, oh my God, totally not game related, but this just reminded me of, and boom, the funny story comes out. Which then leads to another funny story, a Monty Python quote, another thing, and next thing you know, an hour's gone. If that happens all the time, that shit's frustrating. That's where it's distracting, you're out of immersion, and so forth. However, I have been at those game sessions where everybody got together, and it started off funny and kooky and wacky, and it just got worse from there. Where it was 4 of us guys sitting down, we were going to play a game, we got going, we got rolling, and it just turned into a giggle fest. I don't know why. We were just laughing. It was jokes. It was nothing serious. And the game went nowhere that night. And that was fine. It happens every once in a while. Every once in a while. It's a game, and it's supposed to be fun. If you're not having any fun, excuse me, and if you don't allow breaks to occur, say, all right, hang on. All right, let's just, everyone take a break. Some of the guys in my group still smoke. So I'm like, hey, Smokey, if you got him, go outside. Let everybody calm down. Let's get some coffee. We'll come back. We'll start serious. Okay, good. Everybody walks away from the table for a little bit. We come back. All right, here we go. Let's start over. You're at the gates of blah, 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 and the game kicks in. I think taking those breaks and allowing the players to kind of help you direct the play, pay attention to that. Pay attention to the mood in the room, and sometimes the Warhammer game I ran this last Saturday, the group wanted to do some shopping. Shopping can be boring as all hell, but they had a bunch of money. They had some lines of credit. They're on a quest, and they want to go bug some people, and they want to buy some stuff. So they sat there for 15, 20 minutes, going through the book, looking at different equipment, making sure they bought the right things, they're all geared up, had the right stuff. It was, on my side, I kind of had nothing to do. So what I did was I took some notes, clarified some things for myself as what was coming next. When they went back into the mountains through Axbite Pass, what was going to happen. But I let them, they wanted to do that. It was fun for them. They were having a great time. That was really helping them get into the game and feel more immersed, because they started off as these little plebes in Warhammer and were slowly but surely building themselves up to, honest to God, real life adventurers where they had real armor and real weapons, and they were feeling like it was a big sense of accomplishment every time they got to go shopping. So it was fun for them. Boring for me to watch, perhaps, but I'll tell you, they had a good time. So watching them have fun, that was cool. That was cool to listen to the questions. Hey, if I sell this bastard sword, can I get an axe that does the same thing? Because I really think my dwarf would. Kooky questions like that. It was still fun. They were having a great time. Everyone was smiling. So sometimes just roll with it. And that energy is coming right off of it. Don't squash it. They're bringing the energy to the table like that. I don't stop it and say, that's not what we're here to do. Guys are supposed to be in the dungeon fighting orcs. Why aren't you in there fighting orcs right now? Don't treat them like that. If they're taking their time, they're dicking around a little bit, buying some weapons, they want to go talk to the sage, Ange wants to go talk to this person, Sean wants to go over there, Sneezak's going doing his thing. You know what? Sometimes it's kind of the same as the group takes a weird break and it's just a big giggle fest, and sometimes the group just knocks off and does their own thing for a session. Totally fine if they're into it and they're having fun. The energy's there. Run with it. Sean's staring at me like I've got 3 heads.
Paint a miniature.
Paint a miniature
Yeah, that's a good way.
while you're waiting for them.
No, before you game, man. If you want to get
totally,
your head in the game,
yeah.
paint a miniature.
Especially if you're
paint your miniatures. Paint your player character's miniature.
especially if you're a game master and you're using minis. Stock your monsters, right?
Yeah.
Go through, grab all those pre-painted plastics you've got sitting in a tub, and organize them. Hey, I need 50 of these, 6 of them. Oh my God, I've got an ant keg. I haven't used an ant keg in forever, and put that in a stack. That's a damn good idea.
Read a rule book. Read a supplement. Sit on the crapper. That's where go to the office.
Go to the office,
grab some reading material.
Bolo's Guide, baby.
Bolo's Guide, man. Yeah, man. I've got freaking Xanathar's Guide right in the
Right in the office, right there.
right in the office right now. It's about 20 feet from me. And then
Don't borrow Sean's books.
no. Oh, it's dual purpose, man. In the office, people lay off my books, and I can educate myself and get excited about the game session.
You know, as a game master, players coming prepared, knowing what their character does and so forth. The GM, if you've got some notes you remember from last time, or hey, in this session, everyone's on a damn boat. I should probably bone up on the sailing rules, the swimming rules, the drowning rules.
I'm on a boat.
Because shit could happen.
I'm on a motherfucking boat.
So pay attention to that stuff. No, that's a good idea, too. And it's goofy, but I think I mentioned it in the notes here, but it's kind of, for me as a game master, something that's in my prep. Knowing what's coming. If it's like, yeah, they're going to be fighting, an ant keg. What the fuck? What does that do? Does it have a weird power or something? Because that's a monster in this adventure. Look it up. Or, hey, they're going to a different planet, or there's a chance they could run into this group of raiders between here and, here and the next stop. Are there ties to it and so on? Just kind of refreshing the world knowledge and the system stuff. That's a good idea. I like that. That helps me anyway from a preparation perspective.
Read some fiction.
Yeah, that's good too.
Reading Dragonlance. Actually listening to it.
Are you? Any good?
I actually think it's better in audiobook form.
Really?
I don't know why. I can kind of keep in tune with what's going on because I've read the books before, and it's just kind of a refresher. And I'm like, oh, this is where they're at, and then I can kind of zone out and still pick it back up. But when you listen to it in audio format, dude, it's like actual play podcast, man. You could just see the player character interaction.
Just like it came off the table.
Dude, yeah.
So at the game itself, so you've done that stuff. You're like getting ready and so on. And as a game master or as a player, Sean, when the game is actually occurring, apart from the traditional stay focused, keep your head in the game, damn it type of thing, are there other things that you have found helpful for you, like just kind of maintaining energy through the whole session? Just kind of keeping it rolling?
Yeah. If am I playing or am I game mastering?
Let's say you're playing at this point.
If I'm playing, I'll probably, I make some shit go, like make something happen.
Oh yeah, okay.
Make something happen. Maybe interact with somebody else. Try not to sit there and I think it's like you sit idly by, it just exacerbates the issue.
Yeah, you walk into the tavern, the GM says, so you guys sit down, order some drinks? Yeah.
Right.
And do you talk to anyone? Yeah, I guess so. Who's there? This is where the agency comes in, right? Just grab the agency and drive it like you stole it. Walk up to the bartender, slide him a gold coin, ask him if he knows anything about Lord Thrommel, and why do you ask? Because the barkeep, and you go on and on. So instead of waiting it to be fed to you, go get it. Yeah,
crack a joke. Like you go up to the bartender and you're with a party of an elf, a dwarf, and a halfling. Go up to him and say, an elf, a dwarf, and a halfling walk into a bar.
slide the bartender 2 gold pieces and says, can I have a drink? Bartender looks at you cross-eyed and says, what? Pirate walks in a bar with a steering wheel hanging out of his pants. It's driving me nuts. You don't know that joke? Come on. Oh. There we are.
Oh, hey.
Gus, get on it.
Hey. Yeah.
Anyway, no, fair point. I think as a player, one of the things from that piece to keep the energy up is engage, do stuff. And sometimes it's easy to say, well, if there's a fight, I have seen players, well, there's nothing for me to do. I can't do anything. That's horseshit. There's always something you could be doing. Even if it's looking around, searching, climbing, doing something, there's something you can do. Unless your character is literally held down and immobile or near dead, there's something for you to be doing. The other thing I've found, even outside of my character's perspective, is giving actually helpful advice, not invasive advice, but trying to help my fellow players. When you see someone's stuttering over an issue, like, oh, geez, do I attack this guy or this person? Or, oh, she seems to be the one in charge. Who should I shoot at? Like, dude, if I were you, I would do this because that's all we've been seeing. Man, I'd do that if I were you. Stay engaged with your fellow players, even when it's not your turn. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, granted, telling everybody what to do, you should be doing this, that's kind of that dickhead thing that we shouldn't be doing. But if someone is showing, like, I don't know what to do, or if they're struggling to come up with cool ideas, helping when someone needs to source the table, whether they're actively asking for it or not, say, hey, do you want an idea? Hey, I've got an idea. You want to hear it? If you stay engaged like that, you're passing energy back and forth. Every time it's anybody's turn at the table, you have a stake in there. Even just understanding what it is and then reacting off of it when it does get to be your turn is pretty cool. So I think that when I do see that at the table, I think that always kind of helps the energy level too. I think that's pretty cool. And the same, I think, goes for the Game Master. I have seen players struggling at the table trying to come up with something, and I've thrown ideas at them. Like, look, given what you have seen, Sean, you could be doing A, B, and C or any number of things, but there's just some ideas for you. What do you think? And sometimes the player's like, yeah, sure, I'll try that. I've got nothing else. They're locked up. They're just not thinking of something. So I think staying engaged and offering help or table source knowledge for any time it's needed, I think can be pretty helpful and in providing more energy at the game itself. You with me? Look a little sleepy.
I'm with you.
Look a little sleepy.
I'm with you, dude. Oh, my dog.
Come on, get in on it. Come on, get in the game, Sean.
My dog's snoring.
Your dog is snoring.
You might not be able to hear him because I got some gear that's filtering that out.
That's
but
funny.
He's really cutting some logs right underneath my desk right now.
That's hilarious.
Like, God, it's about time you calm the fuck down, dog.
He's old. He's old and tired now. I know, excited.
He just got back from the vet, Dougie.
So, from the Game Master perspective, when you run in a game, how do you do anything that when you see the energy level drop, do you ninjas kick in the door? Do you instigate a combat, or what do you think?
I say, hey, everybody stand up. Do a little stretch. Look to your left. Look to your right.
One of these players will betray you.
Do-si-do. We're going to do a little yoga.
That'll help.
Yeah. Probably put everybody to sleep.
Exactly.
It will not put you to sleep because it kicks your ass. But anyways, no, I try to engage that player, of course, especially if I notice a player. If I'm a GM and I'm like, ugh, then I try to make something happen. Like, this is like, you do something some more. Time for the dramatic interaction.
I'll tell you, having a kick-ass fight break out is a really good way to kick the energy up. Sometimes even in a fight, it doesn't always have to be a fight. It's kind of cliche to do, but it happens. You feel the energy down, you want to kick it back up a notch, ninjas kick in the door, stuff happens. Sometimes just you can have a tense negotiation session. You could have a really intense character to NPC discussion that can happen. A lot of dice rolling and so forth. Calling for checks at the table with meaning to them can bring some energy to the table. I've seen, if you're like, oh yeah, roll a spot check, and you'd find nothing. I think I think a lot of times it's the tone, and that's where where I think making sure you're engaging with your fellow players as a game master, taking the direction the players are taking and rolling with it, and working with that stuff. Really, at least from where I sit on the other side of the screen, I get a lot of energy from that. If the players are having a good time, they're really into shopping, like they were this last time. They were having fun. That was cool. They asked me bizarre questions about, can I wear a pot helmet on top of the leather hat? Let's look up the rule. We spent time doing that. They wanted to do that. They normally don't get into that, but they were totally grooving on that this last session. Fine. How do you stack armor in Warhammer First Ed? We looked it up, and we know a whole bunch of crap about it now. it was fun. The guys got into that. So again, normally if I'd say, hey, we spent, an hour and a half shopping in the game session, people, oh fuck, that sounds terrible. They had fun though. It's what they wanted to do. And maybe maybe I'm weird like this, but I like watching people have fun around me is fun for me. So that's something I enjoy. I don't know if that makes me weird, Sean. That might make me weird. I don't know. Maybe that's weird of me.
Well, and that's okay, Brett.
It's okay to be weird. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, it is. We're too old to give a shit about not being weird nowadays. Honestly,
that's very true.
Seriously, man.
At this point,
I got D&D on my LinkedIn profile. I gives two fucks if anybody cares if I'm a role-playing gamer.
Yeah, at this point, why not, right?
Gives a shit, man. The nerds shall inherit the earth.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think we've beat this one a little bit here. If other people have got ideas of what they're doing to inject energy, I think a lot of it seems self-explanatory, and maybe burnout is the main thing, right? If you really can't muster up a way to get energized about the game, maybe it's time that one of the players takes the reins and use Game Master. If you're one of those people that has like those crazy ass control freak stuff, maybe you got to take a step back and let that person who really wants to run Star Frontiers give it a shot. Even though you may not necessarily think they could do a good job on it, the only way that people are going to get better is to try. And that's another thing too, is players and game masters, is to try different things. You take some of the different, to pat ourselves on the back, you take some of the different ideas or advice that Sean has spewed out for 170 some episodes and say, you know what, I'm going to try this thing about, living gear. I'm going to try this thing about damaging equipment. I want to talk about weather. I want to spice things up a little bit. And by trying something different and putting energy into it, yeah, guess what? You're bringing energy to the game. As a player, instead of playing the same Fightor from Fightor Land whose parents were killed by orcs, how will you play a Fightor from Fightor Land whose parents were killed by trolls? Whoa! It's something.
Saucy.
I started playing rogues more. I've never really been a big thief/rogue fan for D&D, but the last couple D&D campaigns I played in, I'm like, oh, I want to try this whole rogue thing out. I'm having a blast.
So what's your go-to class, Brett?
My go-to class tends to be fighter.
Fighter.
I do. I like fighters.
What a shock.
I like fighters and rangers.
What a freaking surprise.
This is where the action is,
my God, that's hilarious.
But I have
It's Brett in D&D.
I do on the flip side. I spent a lot of time for a number of years playing Wizards. Loved Wizards. My son, my youngest guy, loves clerics. So he'll change it up, and he'll be an elf cleric instead of a dwarf cleric. That's like a big change for him.
Oh.
But do something a little bit. You do something sometimes just a little bit different, even within the usual game you're playing. Makes you reread the rules, makes you refocus. But anyway, if other people out there have better ideas than the crap Sean and I have just spewed for the last 45 minutes or whatever it's taken, write in, let us know. Give us a call. Tell us what you think. Maybe we can help out the mongrel.
Brett's guy, fighter or ranger?
Normally, yeah.
Do you spell his name Treb so it's like Brett backwards?
No, I've never done that, honestly.
No, I bet.
I have not. Never done that.
Oh, man. Get into die roll. All right. Brett, kick her off, buddy.
I should say, just because I don't play that often, it's easier to remember the rules to be a fighter than it is to be a magic user. So
it is beneficial if you don't play very often that you do play the same class, because then you don't get into the bitching and moaning that we happen to have about players not knowing their character.
Exactly. Brett, you're a fucking cleric. What do you mean you can't heal? I'm sorry, where's the rule for that?
How do I turn?
I don't know what to do.
I turn?
Anyway,
roll?
On to die roll. Amazon Prime is doing a series, Conan series. Link in the show notes.
Conan O'Brien?
Oh, yes, Conan O'Brien, the Barbarian. It'll be interesting. Red hair, freckles, and a large sword. It'll be interesting.
He's a great Irish guy.
Word on the street is, from the link I've got, they feel as I think they're trying to stay more Howardian than movie-wise. So we'll see what it does. It's one of those things I like Conan from the Robert E. Howard, the original stuff. Just the stuff he's written. I'm not a big fan of the spin-offs other people have done. Robert Lynn Carter and some of the other folks. Not my bag. But it'd be interesting to see what they do. If nothing else, they'll give me something new to bitch about. So that'll be kind of fun.
They're Game of Thrones, man. Everybody wants to get in the game now.
See, Game of Thrones doesn't interest me at all. I don't know why. They probably
have you watched any of it?
No, don't care.
Well, the first season's pretty good. I think you'd like it.
I might. I don't know. My buddy Lenny was giving me shit the other day because I watched The Relic, or excuse me, The Ritual, which is a Netflix horror movie. And he's like, you watched a current movie? Like, that's out right now? I said, yeah. He's like, what'd you think? I'm like, I might do it again next year.
Isn't that with the group of campers going through the woods?
It's a group of British guys
going through the woods.
In Scandinavia, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw the previews for that. It looked kind of interesting.
It's very good. It's fun. The other thing I wanted to call out was Glenn Seal, our buddy Monkey Blood, is doing the Midderlands Expanded Kickstarter. It's still out there. It's almost over. By the time this drops, we'll have a day maybe left, maybe two. Sean and I are both in on this one, and we are not, as of today, the 19th of February, by the time we're recording this, we don't quite have the funding yet. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm giving him a little kick there because I want to see this one. I want to see this one go through, so it's all good. But anyway, if it's something you're thinking about, and I know sometimes I've actually missed out on a Kickstarter or two because I'm like, God damn it, I was going to do that before it ended, and then it ended. So I figured, I'd throw it out there just in case anybody else cares. So anyway, over to you, Sean.
The Do's and Don'ts of Fiction, inspired by your RPG campaign, by Caitlin Paxson on Tor.com. So I read part of that. She kind of touches on fanfic, and she kind of jokes a little bit about it in the beginning, saying like all the stuff I've read and things of that nature, and how you've got to really separate it from what your character's background may be in an RPG and actually make it a novel. So it's interesting. Plus, it's on Tor.com, man.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not. Yeah.
So it's kind of like this is kind of telling you not to write a novel that's based in your Dragonlance. Your Dragonlance live play. Okay, carry on.
Hey, man, I didn't say that. I love you, Tracy.
Good stuff. Keep going.
Why you should surround yourself with more books than you'll ever have time to read, by Jessica Stillman.
I'm working on it.
Inc.com. Inc. is an incorporated. It's an interesting little blurb, especially as a lot of us RPGers tend to be a little on the bibliophile side. Number 3 for me, 50 Best Board Games by William Herkowitz on Popular Mechanics of all websites.
What?
Yeah.
First, how and why are you on Popular Mechanics websites? I've seen your soft little typist hands.
Hey, man, I am very handy when I want to be.
All right.
Crafty.
Crafty.
It's crafty. Wiki. Crafty.
There's some damn good-looking board games out here, too.
Yeah. We don't talk enough about board games, so we'll just put it in the die roll for all you board game aficionados.
Yeah, Humfleet
Mr. Wayne.
and so forth.
Yeah.
And Mo.
Yep.
Good stuff. Keep going.
Amongst everybody else. Listeners.
Yeah, Shane Freeman has a link out there to some open maps, museum-media. This is pretty darn cool. I love me some maps, and this kind of goes to him giving us a little bit of shit, or Sean perhaps a little bit of shit, around the lack of a West Marches campaign. But anyway, this is kind of cool. Take a look at it. It's a little hex thing where you've got like the city in the beginning and blows some stuff out. So it's kind of neat. I like it. Very, very cool. Thank you, Shane. Good stuff.
Chris Schorb. Gary from Black Diamond Games talks about transparency around gaming retail operations and realism about the industry. He's written a blog for a while, and it's been so great that he's releasing a book. So Chris wanted to pimp his book, and he's pre-ordered it. And I think I might have heard of Gary, but yeah. For those that know him and probably frequent Black Diamond Games, you could probably speak to how well he runs a game store, is my guess.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Goblin's Henchman, friend of the show, regular, he's given us a few voicemails and some other good stuff. A while back, I had posted this up there. He shared his Excel Mapper tool. It's a tool he's got that has used an Excel spreadsheet to make dungeon maps and so forth. Well, he has done some updating to it, and we've got a link in the show notes there. So Goblin's Henchman always does some really cool old school stuff. So Thank you, sir. Much, much appreciated.
Thanks, everybody, for writing in for Random Encounter. Thanks for die rolls. Thanks for all the feedback. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the community, whether it's ours or just in gaming in general. Thank you very much. I don't know if we say that enough,
No,
so I'm saying it now.
no, good. It's good stuff, man. We have a lot of excellent men and women that like to listen to us. I actually caught my youngest daughter said, "Hey, on your podcast," and she said something. I said, "You're listening to us?"
She's listening to us?
I said, "You listen to us?" She goes, "Yeah, Dad. I thought it'd be kind of
Dad
fun."
swears all the time. You swear more on the podcast than you do in the kitchen.
She lives in my house. She knows what I sound like.
Oh, I suppose.
She also is smart enough to know not to use those words. That's cool. To not get in trouble. Anyway, apart from
Brett's the do as I say, not as I do, Dad.
Brett's fucked up parenting, not withstanding. Anyway,
Right.
she's a smart one that skipped a grade and has like a 145 IQ or something crazy. So she's
going to be doing Brett's math.
Well, yeah. I mean,
before long.
I suck at math. Anyway,
You know, you'd stop having outages in that network if you just subnetted the frickin' OSPF routing protocol properly.
see, that's why I hire smarter people than me. Anyway, it is great. There's a lot of men and women that listen to us, and not everybody writes in. Not everybody communicates with us directly. Some people just log in and listen and so on. And some people write reviews. Some people don't. And honestly, it doesn't. Not that it's totally fine. And it's really great to know that anybody out there is listening and paying attention. And if we've ever said anything that's helped or been of use to you, that's just awesome. So thank you very much to Echo Sean. Thanks very much for listening. It's been great.
Yeah. All right. Brett, what in the hell are we talking about next week?
We're going to talk about adversarial players, Sean. We're going to talk about what it's like to Game Master for Sean next week. That's what we're going to talk about.
You mean to play Game Master for me, huh?
Yeah.
I'm an adversarial player.
Well, I wouldn't say adversarial. Yes, I would.
Well,
yes, I would.
How would we define that, Brett?
I don't. We'll have to take a crack at it.
As a dickhead player.
We'll talk about it next time. We'll see where we go.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's been another one of Gaming and BS's. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This show's provided to you with the support from the following BSers: Kevin Lovecraft, Joe Swick, Brett's biggest fan, Forrest Aguirre, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Jeppesen, Sean Nicholson, Tim Jensen, Palladian, Remy Bilodeau, Jason Hobbs, Wayne Humfleet, James Carpio, Pure Mongrel, Lord Tentacle, Corey Johnston, Brandon Barnes, Dan LaValle, C.W. Mellencamp, Lost Sailor, Todd McGowan, Misdirected Mark Productions, Jason, Christopher Gray, Finn Ulf, Mirko Froelich, Eileen Barnes, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Todd Crapper, Michael Drescher, Wiz Static, Alexander Auerbach, Neil Benson, Ron Blessing, Chris Steele, Eric the Hoffman, Soldiers of Misfortune RPG, Christopher Lane, Chris Takahashi, Mark Tasaka, Larry Hout, Ray Otis, Ron Bishop, Craig Huber, Xavier G, JV, John Hammersley, Derelict Radios, John Steve, Jared Rasher, Mark Richmond, Thomas Hook, Blake Ryan, Chad Glayman, Sky, Roger Braslett, Evan Harrison Cass, Craig, Howard Bishop, Christian Sexy Voice Serrano, Jim Fitzpatrick, Peter Scanis, The Knights of the Night Crew, Josh Wallace, Corey Welch, Eli Kurtz, Gordon Cranford, Andy Hall, Corey Wynn, and Graham Meinert. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingandbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers! Should probably stop it, huh?